Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name's Andy R, and this is the Brotherhood of Men, a channel set up by a man for men. And today's subject, well, you saw the thumbnail, that's why you clicked on this video. It's all about divorce. I want to go into some of the details about divorce for you guys who are thinking, for whatever known reason, of getting married. This will ring true for you men out there who have gone through the divorce system. You know how unfair it is to men. But you guys who are single, dating, are engaged, are thinking of getting married, or have just gotten married, you need to have this information at your fingertips, because this will open your eyes. Now, if you've watched this channel for any period of time, you know my view on marriages. Don't do it. It's not for men. It never really was. It was there to protect women, and the contract absolutely does that. It protects women, not men. That's why in the divorce court you think things are going to be split 50-50. You think to yourself that, well, at the end of it, you know, I might lose half of my stuff, but I still have half of my stuff. Let me give you a bit of a reality check there, guys. No, that's not how it works. Men hope to get 50% when all the dust settles. Women, that's their starting point, is 50%. They expect a minimum 50% and then some. Beans and gravy on top of that. You men think you're going to start at 50% and maybe get a bit extra, whatever. No. That's not the reality of divorce. And you men out there who've been divorced, come on guys, bail me out. Tell the other brothers in the comment section below. Tell them what I'm saying is true. So, my views aside, that I disagree with getting married at all, and as I've explained many times, I've been with the woman I'm with now for nearly 24 years. We're not married. I've never been married because I learned very early on that marriage isn't for men. I learned that by seeing what happened to friends of mine, to family members, when they got divorced. Who came out on top, who got absolutely screwed. And pretty much all the time it was men who got screwed. Why? Because the marriage contract is written in such a way as to protect women. And when I say marriage contract, that's exactly what it is. When you sign that legal document, which is the marriage certificate, that is a legal document. And like all legal documents, it has clauses in it. In other words, things that are expected. Nowhere in that marriage document does it mention fidelity. Nowhere in there does it mention all of the things that you think would be in there when you exchange vows. That's a religious ceremony. They're words. You exchanging vows with your spouse in a religious ceremony are words. A written contract is the only thing that gets relied on in a court of law. And the written contract is part of the marriage certificate. It's a marriage contract. So all of those vows mean nothing. They're beautiful sounding words. They look great when you write them down. If you write your own vows about how you're going to love each other forever and how you'll be staying faithful to each other, and all of those beautiful phrases that you use or that have been used for centuries, if you use the existing vows, they all sound brilliant. But that's the spoken word. It's not binding. The only thing that's binding is the marriage contract, and you are told time and time and time again that it's a marriage contract. But so many men have sort of let those words wash over them. Oh yeah, no, it's a marriage contract, thinking it's the vows. No, it's not. The marriage contract is the clauses that are in the marriage certificate. But there are no clauses on that marriage certificate that you sign. No, you'll find out what those clauses are when you get divorced. And that's why I'm doing this video. One, to wake you up to the fact that it is a legally binding marriage contract. Two, that it is a contract written and signed by the two parties but there are three parties involved in that contract, which I'll get to in a moment. And more important than anything is that you have not sat down and had explained to you what those clauses in that contract are. You have quite literally been very foolish, because anybody who signs a contract without reading the clauses and understanding what those clauses mean and the implications of them is being very foolish. Have you ever signed any other contract with actually reading what it is you're agreeing to? If you have, then again, you've been very foolish. And the marriage contract is that, and you keep being told it's a contract, it's this, but you're told when it comes to divorce, you have a huge awakening moment of what that contract actually is and what it was that you signed up for. Now, I already mentioned that there are three parties to the marriage contract. You were already in a relationship with three people. Yeah, exactly. You were in a ménage à trois. You were in a three-person love affair. There's your wife, there's you as the husband, because that's how they're written. After the contract signed, you are man and wife, so husband and wife. And the third party is the state, the government. They've got a say in your marriage. What the hell is the government doing getting involved in your marriage? Well, it's very simple. You see, there was a time when marriage actually benefited men. It was for more the benefit of men. A man could leave the marriage with his assets and that, and quite literally leave a woman destitute. Now, we're going back a couple of 100 years. The government stepped in to rectify that injustice, because it was an injustice that a man could walk away, take the children because he was the one with the assets. She was a housewife. She ran the home, and quite literally leave her destitute on the streets. And men did do this. They did, for whatever reason. Maybe they found somebody younger, maybe they just got bored, maybe she wasn't fulfilling all of her wifely duties and he decided he wasn't going to put up with it anymore. Whatever the reason, men did leave women and leave with all of the assets and the children and leave the woman destitute. And that became so much of a problem that the government had to step in to correct or rectify this problem. So a man was made an obligation upon him by the government of whichever country it was, because this is pretty much universal across all of the Western world. The laws are slightly different in each country and state and such like. Check them out for your own, because you need to check what I'm telling you is true, and you'll find out that what I'm telling you is true, but I want you to check for yourself, especially if you are at all thinking of getting married. Like I say, there's no advantage for it for a man. So they changed the laws so that a woman was better protected if a man did leave. And then over time, more and more has been added to this, to now we're at a state where a woman actually would love to get married, because even if you end up divorced, she's looked after, and to a great deal all at your expense. You have become almost superfluous to the marriage. You have just become a resource in that marriage. And even if you leave that marriage and get divorced, you are still expected to provide for your wife. In fact, that's usually one of the clauses that are in those. It is slightly different, like I said, for each country and each state, but there's usually something in there that said you agree to provide for your wife. And she's still, in the eyes of the law, classed as your wife at the moment that you divorce her. So you've agreed to all of that. Now, something else you need to know as well is that prenups in certain countries don't work. For instance, here in England and Wales, it's different. In Scotland, it's different. In Northern Ireland, and I know it's different in the United States. But here in England, prenuptial agreements have never been recognised in the eyes of the law. You can write anything you like in a prenup in this country, in England, and as soon as you get to the divorce courts, they will throw it out instantly because it has no legal standing here. Now, the flip side of that is also common law marriages have no legal standing here in the UK. That's why I'm able to live with my woman for 24 years, have a child together, be very happy together, have no plans on splitting up or moving away, and neither is she, as far as I know. But the point of the matter is that if we ever do decide to, she would have no legal recourse for any of my assets. And I'd have no legal recourse for any of her assets because we're not married. And common law marriages are not recognised. Now, I know certain states in the United States, they do recognise it. I know in Scotland they do. I don't know about Northern Ireland, haven't looked into it. I know certain countries in Europe do and some don't. So, like I say, you need to check in your country or state what the ramifications are of even living together, because living together can be classed as common law. Now, I know some states in the United States, a woman only has to stay over a few nights a week, leave some clothes at her fella's house or condo or wherever he lives, and can claim legal status. I know, that's bonkers. But this is where we've got to. It's even worse when you get married. Like I say, that marriage certificate is a contract. Know the clauses. And one of those clauses of you've agreed to provide for your wife. So even when you're divorced, you have agreed to provide for her. That's how they can justify things like alimony, etc. Or maintenance, as it's called now. But these are truths that you need to know. So when you get to the divorce court and you're expecting a 50-50 split, well, that's not going to happen because there are 3 people in your marriage and each wants their cut. So you're now only a 3rd stakeholder in your marriage. And this is one of the main reasons why men get shafted so much in divorce courts, especially when children are involved. But I'm going to do another video about the family courts because that really needs to be a video on its own, explaining why, once again, men get shafted, and the fact that the courts, the family courts, say things like we've only got the best interest of the child at heart are absolute lies. But if you want to watch that video, then make sure you're subscribed, bell notification on, and that way you won't miss out on it. But again, that's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of men who just don't know this stuff. So, I'm no legal expert. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just telling you what I've found out. That's what this channel's about. It's about a man, me, explaining things to men, you, my brothers, so that we can all share this information, because the truth of the matter is that women already know this stuff. That's why they're so keen to get men down the aisle and that ring on the finger, you know, to make sure that they're yoked. That, think of it as a slave band. In fact, that's an interesting thing, where the idea of wearing a wedding ring on the 3rd finger of the left hand comes from. It actually goes back to ancient Roman times. Before that, men, or well, women actually, used to wear them on their thumb, used to wear a wedding ring on their thumb. The idea of wearing one on the 3rd finger of your left hand is because medicine at the time believed there was a nerve that went straight from that finger to the heart, and the idea of putting a band around that finger was to enslave the heart. Yeah, you know, a slave collar but on the finger, and the heart nerve. So it was to enslave the heart, and that's where it comes from, all to this day, of wearing it on. And men didn't used to wear wedding rings, remember. That's a fairly new, in you know, civilization terms, is fairly new that men wore. No, it's the woman who wore it because you were enslaving her heart to you, taking ownership. I know, well, these things all come from somewhere. Anyway, you've learned a little bit of information there, but I digress. This is all about divorces. Okay, let's go into some statistics about divorces. Okay, Number one, 70% of divorces are instigated by women. Now, I've said this many times. This is an aggregate average because, again, across the different countries and different states, it is slightly higher, slightly lower in some states, in some countries. But if you take them as a whole, find the mean average, and you get to roughly 70%. That means 70% of women in marriages are the ones that will end that marriage. So that's number one. Number two, again, across all of the westernised country, marriage runs at success at 50%, or, to put it another way, failure at 50%. So half of the marriages that happen today are doomed to fail, and half of them are going to succeed. That's a flick of a coin. You are quite literally betting your future and everything you have from now until, if it fails or succeeds, on the flick of a coin. How much of a gambler are you? Because those don't seem very good odds to me. And they are only going in one direction. 50% is what it is now. 20 years ago, it was less than 40%. 20 years before that, it was in the it's gone up and up and up. So in the next 10 years, expected to be around about 60%. So that's a flick of a coin. So why are men, when I've said all of this and what I've told you is true, you can look it up, find out and verify exactly what I've been telling you that is true. Because I don't want to lie to you, brothers. I'm not telling you something that I don't know to be true. But the point of the matter is that you can look this all up. It's a flick of a coin, 50% chance of it succeeding. Now, if it was to fail, what's the time scale of fail? Maybe you'll be together 30 years before it fails. No. Once again, the statistics that are out there that I've been able to look up, marriages fail at the biggest percentage of the failure between 3 and 10 years. So that old trope of the 7-year itch is very real. 7 years into a marriage, 7 years is nothing. Think 7 years, what you were doing 7 years ago. If you were being faced with divorce today, think how short of a period of time that was. But that's only the biggest percentage of divorces happen at that time. No, the second amount is between 1 and 3 years. Come on, that's still the honeymoon stage. What on earth is going on that the second largest percentage of marriages fail is between 1 and 3 years? What was going on? This is what I'm telling you about a flick of a coin. Do you want to bet your whole future on the flick of a coin? So why? And then, of course, the third part is over 10 years and on. Because it doesn't actually break down what I could find beyond 10 years. It's sort of 10 years and on forever, you know. But, well, you know, that's just because that's the smallest percentage. But, so, if you get past 3 years, you can't breathe a sigh of relief because you've got the 7-year itch to do. This is similar to women who hit the wall. And I think that's part of it. Women are not wanting to settle down until they start to get near the wall, which is 30 years old. I think they get married, probably knock a kid out pretty damn quickly, because that's why they wanted to get married, because they want children. They've got the baby rabies. They know that the biological clock's ticking and I've got to have a kid, I've got to have a kid, like I say, the baby rabies. So they knock a child out and then wake up to the reality that, hey, this isn't easy. Because you ask most women, do you want to get married? And they will say, yeah. Ask a woman in her 20s, especially early 20s, if she wants to get married. She'll absolutely, yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. Oh, yeah. When you plan it? Well, not yet. No. Later on. I mean, because they've convinced themselves the 20s are for them. No, that's for me. That's for hot girl summer. That's for doing all the freaky deaky stuff. That's when I have multiple partners and multiple partners in one night. That's when I build up my body count. That's when I become so experienced. No, you become so damaged. So that when you get to that point where you do want to get married and you actually manage to nail a guy down, get him to propose to you and get him down the aisle, which means that you're probably quite attractive. because it's only really the beautiful women who have these options. That's when you realise that you've actually ruined yourself for both marriage and a long-term relationship, because it's hard work. You're not used to hard work. You're not used to taking responsibility or finding out, about yourself in any moralistic way, which now you've got to do because you're both a mother and a wife. And that's when you go with the simple option yet again, which is, I'm going to get divorced because I can live quite happily, because I've now got a man who was my husband once I've divorced him. He's still going to be paying my way. He's certainly still going to be paying my child's way. So, all I need to do is do a bit of work and I'm going to be in the lap of luxury, whilst the man is sat there next door to destitute, wondering what the hell went on as this train rolled over him, which was the divorce courts. Of course, the third party in that contract, the government, they're expecting a third of the cut as well. Well, their third is they don't want to have to carry the can for you. They don't want to have to contribute anything for the upkeep of your child and your wife. So their third comes in the fact of they give it to your wife. That's why she expects to start at 50% in the divorce, and that's why she expects a lot more than 50%. But you naively went in there expecting that you were going to get your 50%, but your part of that contract was only worth 33%. There were three parties to your contract. But you didn't know that, and nobody sat down and explained it to you before you got married. So, therefore, you were completely in the blank, you were in the dark, completely blank to it. So why are men still insisting on getting married? Because men are still, or couples still are getting married. Admittedly, the rate is going down and has been for a few decades now. Each year it seems to be a little less and a little less. And I celebrate that, because it's more men waking up to the fact that this is not for men. But there are still enough that it makes me almost cry with disbelief that so many men are being fooled into doing something that is so harmful for them. Whether it be for religious reasons, moralistic reasons, whatever. Whether it's the idea I need to get married and then have children. None of that's true anymore. If it was true, why are there so many baby mamas? Why are there so many single mothers? Do you understand that you don't have to get married to do these things anymore? But if you've been brought up in a certain mindset set of being a decent guy, you've always been told you need to settle down, get married. But nobody says you need to get settled down, but don't get married. Why don't they? I'm telling you, because I'm telling you why. On a purely financial reasons why it doesn't make sense. I'm not touching anything else other than really financial reasons. It makes absolutely no sense. But why are men still getting married? Well, I have a little bit of a theory there, and I'm glad you brothers asked me that very good question. Well done you, because it needs looking into. Well, this is my theory. If you talk to a smoker, somebody who smokes tobacco, and you tell them that it shortens their life, you tell them that it increases the risk of them getting a bronchial disease or cancer or any other sort of lung infecting problems, as well as stroke. If you tell them all of these things that are going to affect them because they smoke tobacco, they're going to go, yeah, I know that, because you have to live under a rock not to know the dangers of smoking nowadays. And they say, yeah, I know that, but carry on smoking. Why is that? Because they have the mindset of, yeah, well, it won't happen to me. There's no cancer patient out there who's ever said, yeah, I expected it to happen to me, to be honest with you. They all say the same thing. Why me? Well, why not you? And it's the same kind of logic that we guys use when we're injured and know we should go to the doctors, but we keep saying, I'll walk it off, until it's so painful that we're literally having to be taken to the doctors. It's the same reason that it's like, I'm going to ask her to marry me. Why would you do something stupid? Don't you know there's a 50% divorce rate? Yeah, but it won't happen to me. See? Same logic. Oh, it won't happen to me. Until it does. And it does for so many couples. Like I say, it's running at 50% now, but it's gone up as the decades have gone on. Do you think it's still going to be 50% in another decade? That on top of the fact that not as many men and women are getting married each year. No, it's only going in one direction, and that's up. That is until government wakes up, or men force or women force government, because it's usually the women who, through back channels and that, get the ear of government and get the laws changed. They got them changed to favour them in the divorce courts now. Well, if they're not getting walked down the aisle, how long do you think it'll be before they're screaming and shouting, which they're already doing about, oh, why can't I get married? Why can't I find a decent guy? Why can't this? Why can't that? Why can't I get advantage again? That they get the ear of somebody and start changing the laws, that we might start entertaining the idea of getting married again once we realise that it's actually level. But a serious question is, what on earth is government getting involved in my marriage or your marriage? Well, it was there to protect women, and it's doing a damn good job of it. So this is why I say don't get married. But also, it's why it affects you in the divorce courts, why you are getting such poor outcomes in the divorce courts, why you are losing a lot more than 50%, why you are expected to carry on paying for somebody who probably was unfaithful to you. Like I say, you need to look into the marriage contract, find out what the clauses are. Most government websites will have it on that for your state, for your country, for wherever. You can look them up. I think in the UK it's u.gov or something like that, and you can look up marriage contract or divorce. That's where you'll really find it. You'll see what the clauses of the marriage are in the divorce. So find it out and look in divorce. But you need to know that before you walk in. I'm not telling you not to get married. I've told you my views on marriage, which is don't do it. It's just not advantageous whatsoever for men. It's completely geared to be actually quite toxic and harmful to men. But I'm not telling you not to do it. As I've said many times, this channel isn't about me telling you to do something or not to do something. It's about giving you the information so that you can make an informed decision. I'm not leaving links because I don't know what country you live in, but I'm not leaving links to say, hey, look at this, don't do this. I'm telling you, look or find out for yourself, because information you find for yourself is far more valuable than anything I can tell you. All I'm doing is pointing you in the right direction and saying, open your eyes. If you decide to do something that I think is pretty harmful for men, if you decide to do that, then at least do it with your eyes wide open, so that later on down the line, when you flick that coin and it comes down tails instead of heads and you end up in the divorce court, it's not going to be a surprise to you. Do you understand? A good teacher shows you how to see. A bad teacher tells you what to see. I don't want to be a bad teacher. I want to show you how to see, not what to see. I don't want to come to the conclusions for you. I want you to get there on your own. Which are the best solutions and the best conclusions for you? Anyway, as I said, I'm going to do another video. I don't know when, but it'll be soon. About the family courts, about how badly men are treated, and for whatever reason I don't know, because there are plenty of facts and statistics out there to do with men and women in the divorce courts and the outcomes of children. If that's something that you think you're going to get something out of, please make sure that you're subscribed. I hope I've earned your subscription today. I hope that you found this information useful and got something from it, and if so, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you won't miss out, and for some reason only known to YouTube, the two only tend to work together. If nothing else, it costs you nothing, please give the video a like, because it does help. And YouTube are choking my videos because it's just not getting the viewership it used to, which shows me in my analytics that the message I'm giving out, the fact that it's a channel by a man for men, they don't like that apparently. So yeah, it's getting choked down. I've not actually done anything to get a strike yet, but at the same point, there are many ways to shadow ban and to choke out a channel that, you know, it doesn't grow. And I can only grow this with your help, your subscription, your support. So if I've earned it, please hit the subscribe button and bell notification, don't forget. Anyway, my name's Andy R. I'm going for a cup of tea because I really think I've earned one today. I'll talk to you guys soon, but in the meantime, you take care of yourself, men, because if you don't, who will? I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.